Well, Luke, welcome to coming to the show. Luke Branquinho, 5-time steer wrestling world champion. The reason I want to interview you on this medical podcast I'm trying to do is not the miles you've traveled, but the roads you've traveled on, which is a lot of washboard roads. Like I can rattle off pec, lat, ACL. How many, just give me a quick synopsis of injuries that's required surgery.
So we'll start in 2005 with my pec.
Okay.
Then we roll. I actually went a few years without requiring surgery, which was kind of nice, obviously, you know. And then trying to think, 6 I was good, 7 good, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wow, I went a lot longer without surgery than I thought. 2006, 17, rotator cuff, probably by far the very worst. And injury wasn't bad, but the rehab, horrible.
Yeah.
So 17 rotator cuff. Oh, I skipped 14. Gosh, we're going to have to start this over. 14 was my lat, which I did at Salinas.
That was unique, yeah.
Bounced back quick from that one. Then we go to 17 with my rotator cuff. 18 was my bicep. 19 was my ACL. And 21 was my hamstring.
So, question for you. A lot of people go through injuries in rodeo. You've gone through your share, as you just stated. What made you come back and do so well after? What do you attribute that to?
I think knowing that to get back to the level of a champion, you have to put in the work as far as making sure you pick the right doctor, making sure you pick the right rehab therapist, making sure the people that are in your corner have to be the right people, such as yourself. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, whether it was surgery injuries or just injuries, I had to call you because I knew you would direct me on the right path and where to go to make myself get back to championship form. So to get back to that form, like I said, you have to put all these steps in place and you have to deliver on them. You can't just half-ass anything, you know, picking the right doctor. And one thing I love about the program, obviously Dr. Freeman, Tandy,
yeah.
Good friend, if he doesn't think he could fix it best, he will send you to the best guy. Correct. It's not an ego deal with Tandy. He's going to make sure you are fixed to become back to normal. Same with you. If you think, hey, I'm not able to do this properly or I'm not there to do it, here's the next best person. You're always trying to find the best person to help you get back to your form. And I think that was key for me, is making sure I put all the right pieces in place, which would be the people I leaned on.
That's good to hear. The other thing is true though, look, you did the work. Like I remember questioning you and you sent me a video of you swimming laps in a pool. I didn't know you knew how to swim, but you actually put in the work. So what would you tell to anyone else that's injured when you're saying you got to pick the right team, that's the start, but how did you keep the mindset of not giving up? Which we know a lot of people that have thrown in the towel.
Yeah, well, for me, the mindset, there was many times I wanted to give in, throw in the towel because I was tired, I was sore, I was frustrated. But you just have to push through that, drive through that. And fortunately for me, my support system with my wife and my family, you know, was huge. I had the strong support system saying, no, you could do it, you could finish what you started. And growing up as a kid, that was always something, you know, my folks tried to instill in me. You finish what you started, and then when you get there at the finish line, you'd be like, wow, this was worth it.
True. And so you did it 4 more times. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, with that being said, a lot of people I think know now you're a type 1 diabetic. And that's rare for a type 1 diabetic to go into collision sports. And I think tackling a running steer is collision sport. It's as bad as football or rugby or whatever. What mindset, and I'm sure your parents played a big part in this, what made you think diabetes ain't gonna affect me?
Well, it's funny enough, when I first got diagnosed, I was sitting in the hospital thinking I'm not gonna get to do anything that I want to do. You know, at that time I was in college, I was rodeoing, I was playing baseball, things that I grew up doing and loved doing and wanted to continue doing as a profession. And I could remember sitting in the hospital bed, and I think in there for 2 days, and just thinking to myself, man, I'm done. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be able to do any of this. And again, my parents were huge in saying, you know, parents and doctor. I had a great doctor, Dr. Lay out in Santa Maria, and he said, no, you could live a normal life. You could do everything you want to do. You just have to take care of yourself a little bit differently than somebody that doesn't have diabetes.
True. And you've been a testimony, like a lot of young kids I know with diabetes, look at you and say, if Luke can do this, I mean, no offense, but
No,
yeah.
you're right.
With your travel schedule and everything else, it's like it had to be a nightmare sometimes, just making sure you have the insulin and making sure your pumps work. And you don't want to break a pump running a steer run. You want to take it off, then you got to put it right back on. Just the inconvenience alone, I think, would have been a headache.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, it still is. Don't get me wrong. It's not easy, but if I want to be around for my kids, if I want to help them, succeed in life and kind of show them the ropes, I have to take care of myself. And it has been a struggle, but, you show me somebody in life that hasn't struggled and got through it,
Good point.
So you have to pick and choose the things that are going to help keep you happy and help keep you healthy. And whether you have diabetes or not, that's just the way you have to live your life. And for me, I could, talk about taking my pump off. I could remember Denver, my rookie year, and I didn't have a pump then. I don't even know if they were out.
Probably not around. You're getting old. That
yeah.
probably wasn't around back then.
So I started out with a vial of insulin and syringes. That's how diabetics took their medicine. Obviously, you had your blood tester, and then it evolved into the pen. You just put a little throwaway needle on that you're supposed to change every time you use it, but my needle lasted me the whole pin, and I didn't die. I didn't get infection. So, I mean, I'm very fortunate there. Again, cowboy mentality. Then we went from the pin to the pump. So, I mean, I've got to see it kind of evolve, and now with the pump, you have your artificial pancreas, what they call it, the your blood glucose monitor, and that is help diabetics in leaps and bounds being able to manage their diabetes.
Just stay on an even
level.
now.
Yeah, and these pumps, I mean, when you have your constant glucose monitor, if you go high, your pump's calibrated to give you some insulin to help bring you down, or if you go low, it suspends your insulin so you're not getting that basal rate, so it keeps you from crashing even more. So, I mean, the way the technology has helped diabetes has been huge, and I think for the younger generations, it's almost a crutch, because I'll still use it as a crutch. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a candy bar, just dial this up, give myself a little more insulin, and so I mean, it has its danger. It's danger way more beneficial than it not having it, but you could also take advantage of the situation.
Yeah, definitely can. And someone like the years you've been in my trailers, training rooms, like at the NFR and stuff, a lot of people equate you, which I'm dating myself now, like Norm at Cheers. Remember him? He'd always come in and have the one-liners. Hey, Norm,
Right.
But even in your darkest hour, you'd walk into my trailers or the training room, and you were never super depressed. I mean, you were cheering everyone else up. I mean, everyone loved you for that reason, because you didn't wear your heart on your sleeve about woe is me. Your perspective was good, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's just, I don't know how I became that or got that, but I've always enjoyed making people smile. I think maybe it was, if I knew I made people smile, it made me smile. No matter, and especially in those dark times where I was injured or, going through life issues or whatever, I knew if I could cheer people up, it would help cheer myself up.
So you're trying to be an extrovert to be an introvert, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
But no, and it's just been great to get to know you, and you've gone through a myriad of injuries we've seen. So question for you, what is the strangest thing you've seen in one of our facilities? What comes to mind when I ask you, what have you seen, like on you or someone else? Well, probably not a short list. You've been around for a while.
No, but I mean, the cupping deal was probably the strangest thing you did. And I actually just looked at a picture of that on the phone with my bicep. And I came to your clinic and you put cups on my bicep. And that was probably one of the strangest things. But also the dry needling. We did dry needling on my arm in Tucson. And we did it a couple times. And not knowing anything what it was, and you telling me about it. And I mean, who's going to trust somebody to stick a needle in your arm and make your arm twitch, and obviously knowing what you guys do and trying to make us better, I trusted you. And I mean, there's so many things, but those were some of the interesting ones.
No, good to hear. So anything you can say about the program, sports medicine, we've talked about your diabetes, we talked about your major injuries. What would you recommend to someone going down the road? Like, back up a second. What advice would you give your mother as a mother of a 12-year-old rodeoing right now? What would you give to the parent?
I mean, for me, it's taking care of yourself and taking advantage of the opportunity you're given, especially nowadays. I mean, these athletes, which you see it more than anybody, but these rodeo athletes are athletes. When I was rodeoing, we were cowboys. You know, you would run your steer, you go to the performance, go to the beer stand, do whatever. Now,
go to chili dog.
Yeah, exactly. Now you go to the rodeo, and I use the bareback riders probably more so than anybody.
Yeah.
These guys are athletes. I mean, they
really are
taking care of themselves. They're on a diet. They're, you know, working out. They're in there getting treatments from you guys. And if I was to, you know, tell somebody, I said, you're an athlete, treat yourself like an athlete. Have your parents start you at a young age saying, okay, we're not going to stay out late. We're going to get some rest, focus. We're going to eat better. We're going to work out, because that's what rodeo is evolving into. And I say the bareback riders because that's usually who's in the training room or the trailers when I go in there and see everybody. But even the steer wrestlers are working out, and calf ropers, and I mean, it goes to every event. So
it is pretty much.
You know, and I think rodeo is evolving into more of a professional sport. And I hate to say that like it hasn't been, but I mean, let's be honest, it wasn't necessarily a professional sport. We pay our own entry fees, we pay our own fuel, we pay our own everything.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to see these rodeos evolve, get bigger, add more money. These cowboys and cowgirls have to treat their bodies like a professional athlete to be successful.
True. And I think what you were good at doing, a lot of the bareback riders are too, it's the maintenance injuries. Like they're not there's a difference between being hurt and being injured.
Right.
Like I will let you compete hurt. I don't want you to compete injured. So they come in, and to prevent it from getting bad, we start working on it when it's just an owie, for lack of a better term. Like you've been there for your rotator cuff's a little sore. There's things we can do to make it calm down so you don't risk tearing it and stuff. Same thing with an ACL. We can put a brace on you.
Right.
You've worn ACL braces most of your career, which pain in the butt. You got to drop trowel, stick a brace on, go run when you dump your kids off with me. But yeah.
But and the Cowboys need to take advantage of that. I mean, that's why you're there. You're not there just to, you know, show up in a fancy trailer that has trainers and doctors in it for no reason. These young kids, when they're sore, when they're hurt, they need to take advantage of what is there and being offered to them. And I felt like I did, maybe took advantage of it a little too much, but I enjoyed my time in there. And again, I can't thank you guys enough. You know, obviously in rodeo you have your different boot companies, different jean companies, different hat companies, but the Justin Sports Medicine program never, you know, differentiated that. You're a cowboy, whether you're wearing cinched jeans, Ariat boots, or rock and roll denim, whatever. You were a cowboy that needed treatment, and they took care of you.
Well, thank you. We try to do that a lot. And as you said, like when I took the program solely over 12, 13 years ago now, like our daily treatments at a rodeo, when you were a rookie, we'd probably see 25 people at a performance. The average we're running right now is 85.
Oh, wow.
Just more people are coming in for the maintenance, for preventing stuff from getting bad. So I think our numbers show it too. So I have to have bigger staff, more supplies, et cetera there. But,
and that can get overwhelming for you guys, because I know even there's been times I'd come in there and it was packed and I'm like, I don't need help, so I'm going to get the hell out of here. You know, but again, it just shows the dedication you guys have put into the sport of rodeo and the Cowboys and Cowgirls.
Yeah, and Justin's been great as a sponsor for us. Like you said, John Justin Sr. got into it for the right reasons. He just wanted to help and give back. And then Berkshire Hathaway involved now, same deal. So, and as a medical person, it's real refreshing to me is because I don't have to ask for your insurance card. I don't have to worry about your copay. I don't have to worry about your deductible. At a rodeo in our facilities, you just come in and get treated, which is the reason it's so easy for me to get volunteer medical staff. That's the reason they got into medicine in the first place, to do what they want to do to help people without all the bureaucracy attached to it. So it's been easier. Staff's had to get bigger, which you know, like at the NFR, I bring in 28 people.
You need a bigger room.
Yeah, I need a bigger room there, but that's something we'll talk to Alan Rhino about.
Yeah.
But we're limited by space at some venues. So, no. Well, I appreciate you coming today, Luke, and kind of help out some younger people, not even younger, just the circuit guys going down the road and stuff, and people that have a kid with diabetes that have the doom and gloom that you went through. It's like it shouldn't be doom and gloom anymore. Technology has gotten so much better.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate what you guys have done for me and what you're going to do for the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Luke.